Hey guys, this is Kevin for Pixavert.com. So it's not going to be very long now before the launch of the 4000 series RTX cards from Nvidia. These are going to be launching at the GTC conference tomorrow. However, I wanted to take a look at power supplies. We know since the launch of the 3090 Ti not very long ago that the new graphics cards do require a huge amount of power. Now, the solution that Nvidia gave when the 3090 Ti came out, which was the first mainstream card to require 450 watts of power, the solution they gave was to provide an adapter to convert 3 PCIe connectors to one 450 watt PCIe Gen 5 connector. And these new 12-pin PCIe Gen 5 connectors, they're going to play a bit of a role in providing headaches for people who are installing graphics cards. So let me make a brief tour of the history of what's been happening with these new connectors, and I'm going to be making some recommendations towards the end. Everything nowadays is colored inside of PCs, so we're seeing these white adapters which drop in at $21 on Amazon. Now, I'm not sure what the kind of quality of these are. I think some of the power supply manufacturers don't really recommend these third-party connectors though. We've already seen one PSU which contains the new PCIe Gen 5 connector, GIGABYTE GPU D1000G MPG 1000 watt PCIe 5.0 80 plus gold certified fully modular power supply. This one costs $160. I think it was actually the very first power supply to come along that contained the new connector. Sales on Amazon have been pretty explosive. They sold a ton of these, and it seems people are really going for the new design and the new functionality. This one coming in at 1000 watts is not giving you a huge amount of headroom, and it's probably not the one that I would recommend. Another pioneer is MSI. These guys came out with the first ATX 3.0 ready, that's what they're calling it, power supply. It's also PCIe Gen 5.0 ready, and you can see the graphic here. We've got the power supplies. They seem to be either lifting off the ground or falling to the ground. I'm not sure. They've got lightning bolts. This is not the most reassuring marketing design that I've ever come across. Now, these guys also have a PCIe Gen 5 connector, and they have also the traditional connector. So if you wanted to go with this one, you could go for the 3 PCIe Gen, the traditional PCIe connectors, or you can go for the new 12 completely unpronounceable title connector. They're claiming it is ATX 3.0 compliant, and honestly, that would be amazing if they've achieved that already with a 1300 watt power supply. So my first recommendation is going to be a Seasonic power supply. It's going to be the Prime TX power supply. This guy here comes in at 1600 watts. It's 80 plus titanium certified with a 12-year warranty. It's been launched very, very recently, and of all the features that it has everything you would expect for a very, very high-end Seasonic power supply. One criticism that I've seen leveled at this power supply is that it's not powerfully energy efficient at lower energy draws. So it may be something like 90 to 92% energy efficient at this sort of lower power consumption levels that a power supply this powerful is going to spend most of its time. It does have a number of really cool things, including magically levitating components, and also it has 2 of the new adapters, the 12-pin adapters. They sometimes call them 12-pin or sometimes 12 plus 4-pin adapters. It has 2 of those adapters, so that will give you all the power you need for a 450 watt graphics card, or if something came along at 600 watts, this will give you the power that you need. Now, the 12-pin connectors derive from two 8-pin connectors. Now, we've already seen some very power-hungry 3090 Ti's, and it does seem the solution that they're going for is for 2 12-pin connectors drawing up to 600 watts. So that would be basically where I'm looking to make the recommendation, something that can service something like this particular Galax card here. Certainly the Seasonic will be able to do that, and there are two versions of this Seasonic. One is a titanium and the other one is a platinum. The titanium is slightly more energy efficient at I think it's about 95% or something like that for energy efficiency for titanium. It's at $565. It is fairly costly and is not going to fit inside everyone's pocket. However, I think it is a good value, and I'm going to have a link to this guy in the description. And I'll also have a link to the slightly more affordable platinum version, which comes with platinum efficiency. These two are pretty much the same otherwise. Now, my top recommendation is going to be an EVGA power supply, and I'm going to take my cue from EVGA. They had an offer for, whilst they were still making graphics cards, they had an offer for a 3090 Ti, which came along with a free power supply. How powerful was the power supply? It was 1600 watts. So my top recommendation is going to be an EVGA 1600 watts power supply. This one here, the Supernova, comes in at $199, $200 basically. I like it because of its price. The price right now is at its lowest that it's ever been, and I have noticed that EVGA have been cutting their prices over the last few weeks. At $200 for 1600 watts platinum quality, that is truly amazing. It does contain up to 9 VGA connectors, so you have enough capacity there for 6 cables to connect up to 2 PCIe Gen 5 12+4 connectors. So that will give you plenty of headroom if you wanted to power a 600 watt graphics card. Even if you're not going to be purchasing such a powerful card, this is a really nice power supply to have. And of course, it will guarantee you the ability to upgrade later on if you wanted to. Final recommendation is going to be this EVGA 1000 watt power supply. This is gold standard. It's semi-modular, and semi-modular means you're going to have at least one cable connected to it. It has 6 VGA connectors, so that will allow you to power up to a 600 watt graphics card. Again, using the silly adapters that we have to use right now for the time being. And I would say at $120, it is pretty good value. You're not going to find it at much lower in terms of prices than this. So I would snap up these EVGA power supplies whilst I think EVGA probably have been lowering prices in anticipation of exiting the GPU business. This is what's going to keep them ticking over whilst they are restructuring their business. So I think you're not necessarily going to find them at this sort of price forever. I would take advantage of this and really get a decent quality power supply whilst I can at a decent price. Guys, I'll have a link to this in the description, and I'm also going to have a link to a survey, graphics card survey. If you've owned a graphics card, I'm interested to know what your opinions are about the brand, so I'll have a link to that little survey. It's going to be around for a few days only. I'll have a link to that in the description as well. I'll probably see you after the launch of the 4000 series.